The Milwaukee Brewers have made their selection. The 18th pick is brought to you by our friends at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. With the 18th pick in the 2023 MLB Draft, the Milwaukee Brewers have taken third baseman Brock Wilken from Wake Forest. It's almost like we teed you up perfectly for that. He's a guy, middle of the order, power bat. To your credit, this is a big thing for you. He had a great freshman year in the ACC and then went to the Cape and looked really good in the Cape after that. Fantastic raw power. The question for me when I watched a lot of Wake Forest this year is he abhors striking out, and he's almost too passive at the plate. You need him to be a little more select. The perfect is the enemy of good, right? The raw power is really good. He just needs to be willing to pull the trigger a little more often than he has been right now. Defensively, I think that he's not super rangy, but he's going to be able to stick at third. He has a massive arm, and that's going to mitigate any sort of range issues that he has. And so if he does have to move, it reminds me of profile. We have it on the screen. Reminds me of a Rhys Hoskins. But love what Brock Wilken does. I think it's a good pick for Milwaukee here at 18.
Yeah, he was my fourth or fifth best player available. And if you're looking for power, like outside of Namala, and they're not going high school, let's be honest. He's the only guy who fit for a power profile. Like Taylor is kind of that guy who's just average across the board. You know, Waldrop is a pitcher, which they've only taken Ethan Small. Chase Davis would have been the other interesting guy. But I had Wilken 17th overall. So this is a spot better. Someone asked about the best Wake Forest athlete of all time. I will tell you the best Wake Forest hitter of all time in the pros is against Stuart Fairchild. He needs to get a 1. I know someone will talk about Gavin Sheets has a negative WAR because of his defense, but that they play in a bandbox. So that 31 home runs is overblown. If you're just looking at stats, I still believe in him. He's the best hitter to come out of that program since Will Craig. Don't look up those numbers. Just don't. No. Pirates fans, I'm sorry, but I believe in him to be successful.
For full disclosure, the best athlete in Wake Forest history is actually Carol Blackerby. But I will say, and to acknowledge Gary in the comments, Gary had a question. He's like, how do you criticize anybody who hates striking out? It's not that I dislike the hating striking out. What I don't like is what that does to his aggressiveness at the plate. It's something where he hates striking out, but he hasn't found the balance of waiting for the perfect pitch.
Yeah.
And
passivity is
like
a big issue amongst some players.
Yeah, and you saw that sometimes in the minors. You'll see a guy who's got a really good batter's eye, but he's also waiting for that perfect pitch. And so because of it, when you are waiting for that perfect pitch, you get into disadvantaged counts, and now you're more susceptible to striking out. So I don't dislike the fact he hates striking out. I dislike what it does to his offensive game, the way that he changes his approach because he doesn't want to strike out. It's that's what it is.
If you want, I know he's playing really well right now in the big leagues, but if you want a guy who kind of shows you that passivity, that hating it, but strikes out a ton because of it, is Nolan Jones. And you can kind of see some similarities between him and Nolan Jones, both good and bad. But if you want to see an example of why that's, because sometimes you'll still strike out, even though you hate striking out. It makes you, as you said, strike out more. So yeah, I agree with you that we talk often on my show with my co-host Justin about like who guys are sometimes passive, and that passivity at the plate never leads to good things.
Yeah, Twins outfielder Eduardo Rodriguez, the prospect, another guy who doesn't swing nearly enough. As soon as he started swinging more, he had much better minor league numbers because he's getting the hits.